Hey everyone, and welcome to Television from the Multiverse, the DC TV podcast from Male Fuzz TV. I am Peter, and as always, on the other side of the screen, the spacey alive Connor.
That was a lot more inventive than usual. What's going on?
Well, Ginger's a space, right?
I mean, sure.
I was going for a Ginger joke, alright? I didn't put any thought into it before I did it. I just kind of...
It's definitely on the weaker end of the ginger joke spectrum, not gonna lie.
Sure, that's fine. Well, yeah, I mean, usually when I'm saying a ginger joke, it's usually about how you don't have a soul and you're a monster and you're evil and you're a worthless piece of humanity. This was more just the ginger flavour.
Yeah. A bit on the weak side.
On the weak side, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, if I'm picking a ginger man, I'm going with a gingerbread man instead of Connor every time.
That's fair. Gingerbread men are very good.
They're very nice. They're very lovely. We're done with DC TV shows. Coming up on this week's show, we have a full 5-show slate. We have Doom Patrol, Supergirl, we have Arrow, we have Legends of Tomorrow, we have The Flash. And we're very close to not having all those because we're very nearly at the end of the seasons. A couple of them are on their penultimate episodes this week. So,
yeah, most of them, I think.
No, Supergirl and Legends are one behind in terms of our schedule. So
are they? Okay.
They've both got 2 left, whereas...
For some reason, I thought Legends only had 1 left.
You're making me doubt myself, though. I'm going to check that you've said that. But, no, there's 2 left. There's 2 left.
Okay, fair enough.
There's 2 left. So that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to talk about. A little bit of news first. Although it's kind of notable. Not surprising news, but at the same time, it is kind of notable that Batwoman pilot got picked up and has been greenlit for a series. They have not specified if it is mid-season or launching in the fall with everything else. I think we were guessing mid-season just because...
because that's when Arrow ends. Yeah,
it makes a lot of sense. It also, Black Lightning and Legends also both premiered in mid-season, even though they both now start in September. Normally. So there's reasons to suspect it maybe mid-season. I mean, it wouldn't shock me if they didn't. Like, it wouldn't be the most extreme thing ever, but I'd still put money on mid-season.
Yeah, the only reason that they do, at the start of the main season is if they want to be already going by the time they get to Crisis.
Because I expect she will be in Crisis, so it's just a case of, do they want to have her show already going before that?
I do believe they did say, though, that it was doing an origin, so we were going back before even a first appearance last year, right?
That would lead me to think it's going to... I mean, I suppose if you're going to flashback anyway, it doesn't really matter if you're doing it after both, but I would say that maybe leads me to think they'll start the season before to cross over.
Yeah, well, maybe.
I wonder if there'll be like a very obvious like moment where it's like, okay, that's where Elseworlds was about to happen or just happened, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, they'll make a reference because these shows can't help themselves.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. No, I mean, I'm happy it got picked up. I mean, hopefully it's good. Hopefully it's fun. If it can at least be on Supergirl's level, we'll be reasonably happy.
I'd hope for more. Honestly.
I mean, no, obviously I'd want more, but like, if I'm going in the CW spectrum here,
I think if Supergirl started at the level it's been, this season, if it started at that now, I'd probably be somewhat disappointed in it.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. But, so if it's a new show, I'm like, okay, no, I want better than that.
We're hoping for better Arrow and Flash. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, okay, that's the bare minimum. It's got to be bloody watchable when I'm sober.
How many episodes do we give it before we say that's a drunk show now? if it's really rough, because we can't do that with the pilot. I think the pilot you have to come in and give a proper.
Oh no, obviously pilot gets a fair shake. I think it gets a couple. Like
there's at least 3. I think I need to do at least 3 sober before you make the call.
Yeah, with something like this, like Gotham. After 1, I was like, you know what, screw this. Drunk is fine.
Drunk is better.
Drunk is better. Yeah. No. With a new show of something that actually has potential. No, I'll give it a reasonable chance.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. At least in the sense of like, I'm expecting Alice to be the villain of season 1, obviously, but like. Do we put in some small bat villains? Do we use Nora Freeze since we teased her in the Elseworlds? And, how long before we start using big bat villains? Because, well, we need a villain for this season. We already used Alice. So
yeah.
let's break out the Riddler. Let's break out I don't know, Bane. I don't know, pick your bat poison.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Batwoman is officially coming. It is happening, and I think as soon as they confirmed Arrow was ending, it was almost a done deal.
I mean, we were all virtually, locked on to it. Like as soon as Batwoman's in, elsewhere, the in the stuff, and then it was like, well, yeah, it's probably gonna happen.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, none of this is surprising, but I mean, fun news all the same that it's confirmed.
Yeah, I think if we hadn't had her show up in other stuff, it might have been, well, maybe this won't happen, but it felt like they were so confident from the start.
If nothing else, I will be happy to hear that main theme again on a regular basis.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I'm down for that. So there you go. That was really the one. There was like a small Twitter teaser I saw online. It wasn't. It was like 20 seconds. It was it was a shot of her standing there. It was a shot of the bat signal. It was standard stuff.
Fair enough.
Nothing to.
Swamp Thing finished filming. It wrapped, and I know some of them are hopeful for a season 2.
Yeah, well, we'll see what that last episode's like. The one that they kind of had to rework and use as an ending. We'll see. But yeah, so without further ado, we can dive into the shows. We'll start off with Doom Patrol, of course. Doom Patrol Season 1, Episode 12 is Cyborg Patrol. Cyborg, of course, was kidnapped at the end of last episode by the Bureau of Normalcy.
Yes, and it is a bureau.
It is a bureau, yeah. Well, they said it very quickly in this episode, so I was like, okay, they've confirmed to me exactly what it is. There's a really weird opening scene, actually, where the main bad guy, what's his name? The main dude we've been dealing with.
It's a good question. I don't think I caught it.
Because we met him before. We met him in Die of the Street.
We did, yeah.
And we knew his name then, I'm sure.
I know they've said his name. I just don't recall what it is.
Excellent.
Well, I mean, I thought you'd have it by now.
It's Darren Jones. I don't even recognize it. I had to check his image to confirm it was him. So
okay.
Yeah, so he's in with the generals, and for some reason the main general is getting a Big Mac and a platter, and spends the scene chomping on this Big Mac while listening to the news of getting Cyborg. It's a weird scene. I mean, not that surprising at this point with Doom Patrol.
This is Doom Patrol, yeah.
Yeah, we haven't even got to the army of vicious asses yet, so well,
the butts are on the loose.
The butts are out. The butts are out. And I was like, what did he just say? And then you see like one running around. I'm like, okay. Okay. So this episode is basically Silas shows up and eventually learns what's happened to his son. Obviously, they don't want to tell him, but Larry kind of spills the beans. Larry knowing full well the danger that he's in because he's been in the ant farm, this secret underground base of the Bureau. And it's a bit of a heist episode in a lot of ways where it's like, okay, we need to come up with a plan. You all agree to be part of this. And he leads them in, and it looks like he's double-crossed them, where he's like trading them for his son. And that's what the Bureau think. But then, of course, we get here's the rest of the plan. We flash back to the meeting earlier. And it's like, no, here's the real plan. We're going to get captured.
It's a classic moment.
Yes.
And that's fine.
Yeah, like, here's the real plan. We're going to get captured. And Rita, who's notably absent. And it does a neat thing where when the scene where they're kind of discussing this first happens, she doesn't want to do anything. She wants to not be involved in the plan. So it kind of works where you're thinking, she just didn't want to come along. Even though in the back of my head I'm thinking that Rita's going to be the one who saves the day here somehow. Like she's behind all this.
She's the key to the plan.
The linchpin was the phrase.
Was it linchpin? All right, fine.
Linchpin. Yes. And I know that because she repeated it. Says, I'm the linchpin. Didn't you hear Celis? I'm the linchpin. So, yeah, she's hiding inside Cliff. He's like, Rita, now's the time. And she just blobs out of his mouth. And she's like, you stink inside there, Cliff.
It's not me, it was the rat.
And there's this basically tech, prison guard who's been, working with Cliff. Because he's on the ceiling in a magnet. And she keeps, at one point he says he's a genius. And she gives him this, math problem. Well, there's a train leaving this city going at this speed. And another train leaving at this city. He's like, I'm no mathematician. But she's being awful to him. So when she walks back in, Rita just turns the magnet off with a switch, and he just falls on top of her. She might be dead.
I'm okay with that.
She might be dead. Oh dear. That was a lot of fun stuff here. The guy who tried to kidnap Jane last episode is the one interrogating her, and as she calls him Discount Dexter. He's got like wrap up everywhere, and he's got blades out, and he's doing his Reservoir Dogs.
He's got the music on,
the pop song on while he's like preparing to cut her. And she turns it to Karen, and as we know, Karen.
Yeah, the song changes, and Karen's like, "This is my song. This is our song."
And the eyes do the thing and takes over him. Oh, what's funny about this is even though that this means that she can get out, Jane, before she switches, when she hears the song, she's like, no, please no.
It's not worth it.
And she knows that the others are coming to save her, I guess, but at least it's just funny to me that even though this will get her out, she's still like, no, not Karen, not rom-com Karen.
Yeah, and then she sees him, she's like, Riri, and it's like, oh, okay, go deal with them for me.
Like, are these bothering you, honey? Yes, they are, boo-boo. Could you deal with them, please? Pretty please.
And then Cliff just gives him a big smack.
Yes, and then Jane turns into Hammerhead and gives him I think it was Hammerhead.
I assume so.
The strength implied to me it was Hammerhead, although she was just kind of Jane after that, so maybe it was just Jane. Maybe Jane's just got some strength.
Maybe. Yeah.
I don't know. And then the butts were running around, as you do. As was what I liked. I loved the robots they had in there, the keepers.
Yeah,
I thought they were delightfully creepy. The way that some of them were getting like picked up with like a grapple and like hoisted over to like other beams and things like that, and they just looked very creepy. It was all very surreal in a very kind of cyberpunk way.
Yeah, we learn a lot about this organization here as well. Like, they're actually the same organization. The chief was a part of. They just kind of rebranded after a while. Yeah, refocused their mission to, instead of it being about discovery and finding out things, they became about locking them away and experimenting.
Well, which was heavily hinted at in the chief's flashback, where they just wanted to kill things now instead of protecting them and understanding them and studying them in a civil manner, in a humane manner.
Yeah, but Niles is better than them. I think.
Yeah, well, I think he's better than them at least. I mean, how good he is open for debate, but better than them. And obviously Cyborg in the cell, and he's going kind of nuts. It's like Grid's malfunctioning and talking to him. And the big reveal though, because obviously he's getting all these extra flashbacks in his head. This like old surveillance footage is playing, and one's basically showing that his father didn't care that he might turn into like a full cyborg, like.
Yeah,
the nanites that are meant to heal him, and that's what's like changing parts of his body. It's like the idea they might completely take over, and there'll be no human left. He gets this video footage of Silas being like, "Yeah, that might happen. So what? What's your point?" Yeah. And he starts beating up Silas over it. He's punching him in the face, seemingly to death. He may be alive, but he
might be. But there's a strong implication that he went too far.
Yeah, he went too far. And then once he does this, there's like a
you hear a bit of like game music, like 8-bit music, and I'm like,
and there's like old school congratulations screen from a video game, and the little icon's like a little 8-bit Mr. Nobody head, and I went, oh, Mr. Nobody's been the one doing this the whole time.
And then there he is, and this is gorgeously shot. All the corridor is bathed in this red light with the flashing.
It looks good, and what I like about this is we've not seen Mr. Nobody much in a while, and I think this was really sadistic, and the way he was kind of taunting him, and all of this was really working. This might be the longest scene with Mr. Nobody talking to someone that we've had.
Outside of maybe him talking to Niles, yeah.
Yeah, maybe that. That was cut though. Whereas this, I felt like I was just getting like an extended
he was
look at him.
monologuing.
Yeah. And the effect of like Alan Tudyk's face sort of in the pieces is really surreal.
It's still really working, isn't it?
Yeah, I like that a lot. As per usual, there's humor sprinkled throughout. I mean, not just the army of asses that eat people.
Those things are terrifying.
Darren Jones is dead. He's gone.
Yeah, and the generals when he's like, oh, the butts are free. He's like, well, I ain't sticking around. He grabs a pistol and shoots himself.
He does indeed. Unless Darren like crawls out like half dead next episode maybe, and he'll be like angry and all disfigured. I can see that happening maybe. Yeah. But you see him get sort of like, grabbed around the door horror movie style, where he's like grabbed by all the butts. The thing.
What a sentence.
I know. The show's what it is, isn't it? This is a weird show. I did like some of the other moments as well. I liked the decision to free everyone else, because they've got their main group out, and Larry. I like that before they went in, he was like talking to the spirit and being like I know, like we don't want to go back there, but we have to do this to save Vic and that. And he actually gets sucked out of him Ghostbuster style, with this big vacuum thing. And when Larry wakes up, he's actually awake, and the spirit's still out of him. It's in like a little test tube thing, this little container. And when they say, "Hey," it's I think it's Cliff that says, "Hey, we shouldn't just leave these people here. Like they're weirdos like us." And Larry just starts to undo the canister.
Time to do your thing.
Yeah, and we get this great shot of the spirit going through and like destroying all the robots just by going through them, and then like messing with the electrical systems to open all the doors. And the music was really nice here. It felt like the first real kind of heroic mission they've been on. Where
it's one of those where it feels like it's heroic. This is so well intentioned, but in the back of your head, you're like, I bet there's some things in here that should be locked away.
Oh, for sure, but like that didn't affect me in the moment though, because the decision itself was purely heroic, and the moment played very well like that, and the people that are getting hurt in here are kind of deserving. So it's not it's not like like the Doom Patrol's morality scale is a little bit different to say the Justice League, but like it really feels like they're almost there to being like a superhero team, right? In their own weird way. Like this was like
again, because there's still that acknowledgement, like before they go and rescue Cyborg, they're like, "Hey, he's Cyborg. He's a proper superhero. He can handle himself.
He can text
Batman.
Batman.
Doesn't need us weirdos. Yeah, he can text Batman.
Yeah. No, but what I like about this though is that unlike everything else they have done up until now, they had to have a plan. They formed a plan. They executed the plan. Like, they made heroic choices whilst on that plan. It felt like the most teamwork in terms of, whereas everything else, it feels like they're just kind of in situations and they're reacting and they're doing things. And it's been great, and that's not a complaint, but I'm seeing there's growth here, and it feels like, no, they're actually kind of becoming a team in their own quirky, wild way. So, I guess what I'm saying is here, it's kind of heartwarming. Like, I was kind of feeling heartwarmed during this.
Sure.
And that's one of the things that this show does so well, is that I feel that constant heart from it. So
no, this show has been such a delightful surprise.
Season 2, baby.
Even if everything else from this DC universe service is terrible, all right. Theoretically, from now on, everything else is awful. It gets shut down in a year's time, following those rumors. It'll have been worth it for this and Young Justice.
Yeah, but here's hoping for Swamp Thing.
Well, yeah. I'm saying that might be good yet. I'm just saying, even if it's terrible.
Yeah. The downside is, though, is if it ends, we don't get season 2. So.
Yeah.
I want season 2, damn it.
I do as well. Season 2 would be delightful.
Season 2 Electric Boogaloo, and they could get away with calling it that because of the Doom Patrol.
They actually could, yeah.
They totally could. So, we will move on to Supergirl Season 4, Episode 20. It's called Will the Real Miss Tessmacher Please Stand Up? I like that title, I'm going to lie.
I wish I didn't know that title before I watched it.
Because it spoiled that she wasn't like really her, or it was a clone,
and
or it was...
made a large section of the episode tedious.
It's funny because it's frustrating because the characters aren't getting it, even though you've already figured it out because of the title. But at the same time, I can't necessarily blame the characters.
No, but there's a point where they acknowledge the shape changing thing early on, the cloning, like the copy thing, and then they run into Tessmacher, and then there's all these weird moments, like halfway through conversation, she just stops. And then starts the whole conversation. She's like, "Oh, Kara, you're here. Hello, nice to see you." Like nothing, and they don't even acknowledge it. Like they just brush right past it. That's really frustrating.
They exchanged some weird looks. That was my bigger concern. I actually like most of the Supergirl and Lena stuff. I like most of
it.
Most of it.
I got problems.
You got problems. They go to Kaznia together. To investigate this base that Lex has, and they find that he's been working with the aliens and experimenting. Of course, the big thing though is eventually they find out about Red Daughter. They find out about Comrade Zor-El, and it's like, oh, it's Supergirl, but it's not her. She's like a clone or something. And Lena even kind of like properly guesses that it was the Harnell that split Supergirl, and this is it. And Supergirl, I like that she's like, no, there has to be good in her because like she is in some way kind of Supergirl, but it's like, but she was a blank slate and she's been indoctrinated, and we saw the episode, so we know she was kind of convinced over time and manipulated and so on. I think one of the problems you might have is the scene in the airplane towards the end of the episode.
Terrible. This scene, I'm telling you now, I've seen it before in Smallville.
Sure.
It's.
I wasn't ready to move on to that scene though, so shut up. Because I wanted to compliment another scene. I actually really like the scene where Kara finds the cell or the bedroom, like Comrade Zor-El's bedroom, and she gets so terrified of Lena walking in there. Maybe it's the performance, but that scene really worked for me. Like, she was so scared, and then like coming back and like burning it all, or even just the idea that she realized that Lex knew who she was, and that this was surveillance of not just Supergirl but also of Kara and like her family members and so on. The performance here really worked for me. I really liked this scene, and I thought like just let her walk in, or this better get to her telling Lena. And then it gets to that scene in the airplane at the end where she takes her glasses off behind her. And although there's a really sketchy moment actually earlier on, after she has to go out and save the plane and come back in, and her glasses are kind of like crooked kind of thing. And when she puts them back on properly, she kind of takes them off a little bit to put them on. I thought, hey, Kara, you're playing it dangerously close here.
Yeah, but it's not about the glasses being off or on entirely, because at the end when she does the pose. She does. Her demeanor's all changed.
The posture.
Right, yeah.
The posture changes. And as soon as she took the glasses off and like Luna's not looking at her, I'm like, she's going to decide to put them back on before she turns around, and I got really annoyed.
It's so frustrating.
Because the sad part is that I think it'd be super fascinating if she resisted the urge to put them back on and just let it happen anyway. I think that would have been more dramatic and made more sense in the scene.
What annoyed me even more was afterwards when she's like, "Well, I'm gonna tell her eventually anyway, just not now." I'm like, Jimmy, so we'll make it even worse, right? We'll just lie to her for another 6 months.
I think it'll be an episode or two. I think it's the end of the season.
For sure, probably. I'm just saying, she's not thinking right this way. She's going in a bit.
And if the rumors are true about Lena leaving, then I suspect she will find out, and she'll be mad for a quick amount of time before they have some sort of moment of like peace before Lena dies and sacrifices herself or something. That's my guess.
Which is a real shame that we're never going to get evil Lena.
I wanted evil Lena. I know she has a lot of fans who would hate her to be evil, but like I think she'd be far more interesting evil. You
can be a fan of her and her be evil.
You can, but people like friendly Lena.
Yeah.
Have you seen Supergirl shippers on the internet?
Yes, I have, because they are insatiable.
They're extreme. We'll say. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. So like I really like that stuff with Defend the Cell. I really like that scene, and I thought Benoit's performance really made it work. The fear and the panic that she was about to be found out, and she had to try and talk Lena out of going past back there. It was a whole thing. Other plot, of course, kind of like splinters. Actually, before I even get to the main part of this, I want to say I actually like. So Nia's been really growing on us over the season. I think her enthusiasm for being a superhero has been very enjoyable.
I think what you're leading on to here is let her have a hammer at all times, please.
I mean, she's fine without the hammer, but here's the thing. What I was going to build this up to is I actually really enjoyed that Jimmy scene in this episode, because the scene was like, because Brainy does some tests. He's like, "Oh, you're flame, resistant." I tried with a flamethrower because in the fortress. But I like the fortress is popping up more often. Like it's just it's a place we can go for things.
Yeah, we've got the set now, so why not?
And then Nia picks up this giant Thor sort of hammer and it was right.
It's the one that Lois had, right, in the crossover.
I think so. Yeah. So now I'm going to hit you with this, and we're going to see what happens.
And she's got such a shitty girl on her face.
And then Brainy leaves to deal with Lockwood. We'll get to that in a second. But I laughed really hard. This is the most Jimmy's made me happy in a long time.
Jimmy's going, not the face.
Yeah, not the face. Like that made me laugh. That, and then of course the genuine moment of him taking the photographs during that one episode, like mid-season.
Really that was a good moment. Yeah.
But the main plot of this side of things though is Lockwood, and I have to confess, I think last week when we talked about the episode, we forgot
to mention the ending.
We forgot to talk about the final scene where his wife get killed.
We did, yeah, because it opened and I was like, "Oh yeah, that happened."
We never spoke about that, and I feel a bit bad for that, but I think it's maybe a testament to how ineffective that was that it just left our
You
minds.
forgot by the time we got to talking about it.
It's the alien that he was harassing. The one small touch I like here is that the alien herself, it's the same species in his flashback where he was trying to protect him with the guys at the mill. Do you remember?
Oh, right, okay, yeah,
They were
yeah.
harassing this alien. He tried to protect him. And he got hurt.
Yeah.
Remember that? It was the same species. I thought that was a nice touch, just from a character perspective.
No, fair enough.
And he leaves his wife's funeral, upsetting his son, and he's like demanding they hunt down.
At this point, the stuff with the funeral and the kid being there on his own, I felt like the stuff from last episode, with Jimmy and all that repressed trauma with his dad's funeral,
Mm-hmm.
like that could have had a really nice parallel putting those in the same episode.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I could see that. But he, wants to hunt down aliens. He's because everyone else is away. Alex is away. We'll get to what she's doing in a minute. No one's there, so Brenny's the only one at the DEO to kind of try to keep him in line. And he's got an alien in his lab. He's demanding that they go and hunt down Dreamer because she's an alien, and he's just pissed, and he wants to find the alien that killed his wife. And it all kind of builds up to him taking the drug, the serum that Jimmy had.
Yes.
Not the exact same version of it though. It's it's a concentrated version.
And again, I got flashes of Smallville during this. Now, I don't think you ever got this far in Smallville, did you? You never saw Witwer as.
No, I think I did. I kind of skimmed some of the later seasons.
Yeah. So, I mean, spoilers for like season 8 of Smallville, but who cares? Witwer was their version of Doomsday.
what an attractive version of Doomsday.
Well, that's the thing. He did, yeah. He was normal, but he had this split personality thing. I think I spoke about it before. Last season with the rain stuff as well. But the transformation thing here, where all the black veins are coming up, I'm like, oh, that looks like when he transformed into Doomsday. That is not something you want to remind me of, Supergirl.
I don't mind him using this part because I think the danger of him actually getting access to this stuff is something that feels kind of rightly menacing given his character and his mental state.
Yeah,
that makes some sense to me. And the fact that Jimmy still has powers, okay, whatever. I'm sure he'll lose them by next season. I'm fully expecting it.
Or he'll be dead.
Or he'll be dead. Because Brainy kind of inspires everyone else to stand down in the DEO. Lockwood takes the drug, and it's Dreamer, Jimmy, and Brainy against him, and they're holding their own for a little bit, and then they're getting their asses kicked. Jean finally lands in the episode.
Yeah, that final scene from last episode with John definitely should have been at the start of this one.
Sure, I don't feel strongly, but whatever.
Yeah, because it really felt like Jean. He just I guess Jean's back, right? In this episode, he just shows up here. It felt so random.
Do you know what I liked about this? This is the first time it's felt like they've not made Jean look weaker than he should be. Because, Lockwood's doing really well with his super strength, right? And then Jean, shows up and he goes for a punch and Jean just, phases through it. Nothing.
You know what it is?
Yeah.
Because Supergirl's not around. So it's like, oh, we can actually have someone be strong.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, you got nothing in me, son. Sorry. Why Jimmy was so intent in throwing Lockwood into a tanker, I'm not entirely sure. But, especially since it doesn't even kill him, he just gets back up and he's all fine.
Yeah. I got nothing for you.
They didn't go and check for his body to make sure he was defeated. I don't know, it's a bit weird.
Jimmy's just enthusiastic about the new powers.
He is, I guess. I like enthusiasm for superpowers. I definitely do. Can't fault that. So yeah. I mean, actually, I thought again most of this stuff was fine. A couple of little nitpicks here or there. I like Brainy's side of it. I like Nia's side of things when she was involved.
Not enough Nia this episode.
Not enough Nia, but the moments she had were really good. I'm liking her powers. I'm liking the blue either waves or whips or
I really like the whip, but I want her with a hammer. The hammer should stick around because it's cool.
Okay, she could have the hammer. I'm okay with that. Yeah, and then Alex isn't there because Alex. Joe, it's funny. See when this the previous one started and it brought up like her wanting to have kids. I'm like,
that was like a year ago. Yeah,
they remembered this. And do you know the funny thing is I'm sure it's actually probably very realistic that it took a year to.
yeah. It's you know what's not realistic?
Uh-huh.
Never mentioning it in that year.
Yeah, it's weird that she never said she's like, I don't know, anxious or she's hoping or.
Just she literally hasn't mentioned wanting a kid a single time this season.
She hasn't. It's this other thing though, where like we don't see them all day every day. So I mean, she obviously it's just not been relevant.
Sure,
I know what you're saying. It's weird that she's not mentioned it in like a year, but
when it was such a big deal last season, right? That was her driving thing last season.
But she does acknowledge that she left her fiance because she wanted a kid. You know, because for some reason her and Jimmy's sister are like new best friends, and she's just there with her all the time. And they might be becoming a couple because they really made a point of like pointing out she was gay or bi, you know, towards the end of the episode.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, maybe they're going to do something with these two, and that's why they're spending so much time together.
I never got that sort of chemistry from them.
Neither did I either, to be honest. It was just when they made a point of her saying that she had to be in the closet when she was serving.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, maybe they're going to do something with this because they've been because that's not even just this episode. Since the episode she showed up, ever since then, it's been her and Alex have been together.
Yeah, I hope not, just because there's no chemistry.
There is no chemistry. No, I concur with that. I think this plot was probably the worst of the episode, and I think a big part of it is that you could see a million miles away exactly where it was going. There was no.
It was tedious because it was all it was all the thing was am I ready for this? Do I really want this? And it's the sister, Jimmy's sister. I can't remember her name.
Kelly.
Kelly, right? You know, talking her into it, and you know the whole time it's like, oh, she's just gonna be heartbroken at the end when she decides to keep the baby, right? Yeah. Obvious. It's like as soon as this starts, you know where it's going, and it feels like there's a good amount of time dedicated to this plot.
There's far too much time,
given how predictable it is.
And almost all of it is in a hotel room. It's just them in a hotel room, and which could be fine, but it's just given the actual content of what's going on, it's just not that interesting.
It's not, no.
Because you know exactly how it's going to end, and it feels like generic TV drama, and not properly written. I guess is what I'm getting at. So the ending though is that when Supergirl gets back, she's got this proof because they can see this map of Lex has got a planned attack on the US with you know red Supergirl and everything else, and she goes to the president who's got kryptonite sitting out on his table,
which makes sense to be fair.
Oh, it does.
Like, after Supergirl attacked, we took some precautions. Sure.
And again, this kind of suffered from being really obvious where it was going. Like the second she walked in with that proof, it was like, okay, he's also a bad guy. And I actually kind of laughed because I just kind of like muttered to myself, collusion.
I hated that they actually used the word collusion.
Do you?
Yeah, I'm like, really? Because as if this wasn't already on the nose enough, did we have to have the president colluding with Russia? Like Kaznia in this case, but, you know, do we have to be doing that?
Yeah. What especially bugged me though is that once he put it in the drawer in a very suspicious way when not looking at it, is she still kind of stood there and wasn't expecting anything, and we end the episode with a bag getting put over her head, and I mean I guess because she's so close to the kryptonite that she's a bit more vulnerable to that I suppose than normal, but it felt weird.
That doesn't excuse her being an idiot.
It does not.
Kryptonite doesn't affect her brain. I don't know. I just I hated this.
You hate this last scene.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. I'm just indifferent to it. You know, like I don't feel anything good about it. But
I'm at the point where this show is being insistent on being so on the nose with things like this that I'm sick of it. Like, I don't know. When it was the chief of staff, like that was that they thought was the one that was the mole. I'm like, yeah, this is fine. That's sure it's close enough. You're getting the effect, but then they go all out and go, nah, president's just colluding. I'll do. I'm like, it just feels easy.
I don't know. It doesn't really bother me that much. It's just the execution of the scene more than anything else that bugs me. Partly because it makes Carol look like an idiot.
It does, yeah.
Is my main thing. So I did like a lot of the stuff with her and Lena though, even if the ending of it was frustrating. I did like the Nia stuff, even the Jimmy stuff for it. Admittedly, it was like 2 scenes, but still like better than normal. And Brainy, of course, is usually great.
Yes.
Because there's a moment in the episode where he's like Sprock, and then he says something that's like double Sprock. It was just there's the little fun stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that was Supergirl. Well, that'll take us on then to Arrow season 7 episode 21. It is called Living Proof. So, yeah.
I'm just trying to remember what happened because
they were trapped in the building pretty much most of the episode.
Oh yeah, this episode may have left me mildly paralytic.
This one is, well, for a start, Tommy, the ghost of Tommy, shows up to talk to Oliver.
With a sexy new beard.
Why Tommy inside Oliver's head has grown a beard is anyone's guess. Because if it was actually
it's because Oliver's finally grown a beard a little bit here or there over the course of the show. When at the start they were at points he's growing a beard.
At points, the stubble he has now is the exact same goddamn stubble he's had since season 1.
No, it is. But what I mean is, at points they've gone, all right, well, let it grow a bit here or there. At the start of the show, they were insistent on him being clean shaven.
I don't think he was clean shaven, was he?
I think he was at the very start.
I feel like he always had that stubble. Maybe he was clean for like a little bit of season 1. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
But yeah. So he's basically just like in his head and basically talking about like what but he's basically telling him not to be like a killer and not want to like kill Emiko. But the weird thing is that up until the very end of last episode, he was still thinking she could be redeemed, so he wasn't like he was want to kill her anyway. He might now.
This just said, oh, he flipped to being a killer again real quick.
I mean, he might now, but
yeah,
it's I don't know, it's weird. We do get a really funny scene though when Oliver gets out and he thinks he's met up with the other team members and they get attacked, and it turns out that it's all in his head. But before he wakes up properly, he actually he thinks he shoots Emiko with an arrow, and then it like cuts to Diggle standing with an arrow in his chest, and he's like dying, and he's like, Oliver, why? And then he looks down and he's shot everyone in the team with an arrow. They're all dead.
Yeah.
We'll still get a chuckle out of us, so I mean that's good.
And then he wakes up under the rubble still. It's like, all right, cool.
And the team find him. Whereas the team actually are sort of up and finding each other throughout the episode, and basically one by one, they have to help get Renee out of under some rubble, and they're all kind of hurting. At one point, they have to make sure the building doesn't blow up because the gas is leaking or something, and Roy.
I remember hoping Roy to do a flip.
And then he kind of did.
It wasn't a flip. It was this huge leap from off screen.
Yeah, it was basically because right before he jumps down, I was like, oh, Roy's going to do some flips. And then he didn't do a flip, he just kind of jumped around. But he went to the gas, and it was like, oh, maybe he's dead. And obviously we know he's not, because he's in the future. But, they think he's dead, below the gas, they can't see him. Do you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of that bit early on in Batman Arkham Asylum, the game, where there's the gas in the bottom half of the floor, and you have to jump around.
Oh, yeah, okay. I'm with
you. But they're like, oh, Roy must be dead. And then you're like, I hope he does a flip out of that gas. And then he just like kind of leaps up into frame and grabs onto the floor.
But it looks like he's leapt from the ground up to this railing, which is like, a couple of floors up.
Yeah, it's like 15 feet or something like that. It's like maybe 20 feet.
It's quite a jump.
It's more than what a basketball player does when they're dunking the ball, right?
Comfortably, yeah.
Yeah. So it really made us laugh because it was such an over the top thing. But yeah, so they eventually find Oliver, and that's basically it. They're basically like, Renee's like, oh, I trusted Emiko, and she's not there. Yeah, because he confronts her at one point. It's a whole thing. Honestly, a lot of this episode blends together in my head because it's them wandering around rubble a lot.
I remember them asking, "Are you okay?" A shitload.
Oh, they ask, "Are you okay?" a lot. I think you got up to about 12 by the end of the episode.
12 "Are you okay?" and a bloodlust.
Yeah, because Diana's all, we should turn Roy in because blah 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 blah. He wants to be turned in, but after he sacrifices himself, almost conveniently survives. It's like, oh, I was wrong about you, Roy. You know, it wasn't you. It was the bloodlust.
Oh, they just wouldn't give me a break.
It was gold. And then meanwhile, Elena and Felicity are working together on the comms, and then eventually they almost get arrested because Emiko sent in the footage of Roy killing the guys last episode. So now they're all wanted fugitives again.
And then we have the stupidest police officer in the history of police.
Yes, because Felicity's agreed that she's getting arrested. Not that she has to agree to that, but you know what I mean. She's making it look. She's like, okay, you're arresting me. Can I at least?
I'm cooperating.
Can I hug my friend first? And he goes, sure. And I'm like, what cop in the world would say sure to that?
Yeah, sure. Why not? What?
And what a shock! She uses like a sonic device that just makes them all, faint.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to affect those two, though, does it?
No, I think she's like.
I don't recall earplugs.
No, but she tackles around the corner, so maybe there's like a sort of safe section or something like that.
Sure.
It's like sound padded or something.
I'll have to take your word for it.
I don't know. I'm stretching it. Yeah, but in the flash forwards, we find that two things happen. One, William, against Felicity's wishes, goes in to try and like download data off the evil bat guy, and him and Renee get their cover blown and they get captured. And we find out that Elena is responsible for everything that's happened. Well, not everything. Felicity's still at fault here, don't get me wrong. But she is the one who kind of turned over and built up the new version of the system that's led to everything in the future.
I'm shocked, I tell you. Shocked.
They at least cut her hair. She has short hair. So they at least did something with her, as opposed to Felicity in the future, where she's got like a little...
She's got a bob cut.
She's got a bob cut and a little bit of wrinkling around the eyes. That's like all they did.
Yeah. But Elena's is proper short. She does look older, to be fair. Mm-hmm. She looks like they've tried harder on her than they did on most of the others.
Which is weird, because she's the smallest character.
Yeah. Also, because I couldn't remember her name all episode, again, they didn't say it until this final scene in the flash forward. Like she's around all episode. I'm like, I don't know her name. Say her name, please. Someone address her. And it wasn't until the flash forward where they did. Frustrating.
Oh dear. So
did anything else happen in this?
Yeah. Basically, Emiko, dressed as Green Arrow, leads her troops into the police station and massacres like a bunch of cops. So
I think it's Oliver. Yeah.
So the team race there afterwards to try and help. And he chases her up out of the roof. There's not quite a winner, but there's a couple of decent fight shots throughout as they're fighting the bad guys. Oliver chases Emiko up out of the roof, and he chooses not to kill her.
For reasons.
And Emiko, does a smoke bomb and grapples into somewhere. Into the ether. She grapples away.
Standard villain escape then.
Yes. And then the team show up and they're in this lineup of 5 and they're like, we'll get her, Oliver.
There's only one more, right?
Yes, the next one's the finale. This is episode 21.
Thank God. One more episode of Felicity.
Yeah. It cut really abruptly, by the way, to the title. It was like a close up of Oliver, and it just cut. I felt like you could.
Yeah, I remember being surprised that it ended.
Yeah, you could have just held that shot for a couple of seconds, let the music sort of do a final crescendo or whatever, and it'd have felt natural. But it cut really quickly to the title. It was weird.
Yeah,
it felt unnatural. But
hey-ho. Maybe they needed to get into those ads.
Like
maybe they were hitting the upper limits that we can't hold it another 2 seconds.
Yeah, they started teasing Felicity having the idea to leave and going to hiding because she doesn't want her kid to be around all this.
Did they?
Yeah, she was talking to Elena about it.
Yeah.
And it was like, why don't you just go off grid or something like that? Yeah, there was some seeding for it.
Sure.
So.
Honestly, I remember this even less than usual because I was just dead by the end of this. I could not even get up to go to bed. I slept here in this chair. I was just like, nope, that's it. I'm not moving because if I try and move, I will end up on the floor.
There you go. That was Arrow. One more left.
Yep.
One more left. So
one too many.
That will take us on to Legends of Tomorrow, Season 4, Episode 14. It's called Nip Stuck. And Well, let's just right off the bat. Gary Green is the only man we need.
It is, and I feel like it should have been called Hypnotized.
Or all the man we need. That was the phrase. Sorry, I got it slightly wrong. Gary Green is all the man we need. That was the.
But it should have been called Hypnotized. The episode that would have been better.
So Gary is in the
Bureau.
Sorry?
Time Bureau.
Time Bureau, thank you. I really blanked there for some reason. And for some reason, he's really suave. He thinks he's the coolest guy in the room. And I'm not going to lie, I think Mona is like one of the MVPs of this episode. She was cracking me up, the way she was reacting to a lot of this. Because Gary like calls a team meeting, and this is like after
he's already got to Ava.
Yeah, Ava's already been brainwashed because Ava comes in and he's in her chair. He's like, Gary, I told you not to play in my chair until after hours, and I'm like, what? You let him like play in the chair like a kid after hours to like appease him? That's funny.
So does. Yeah.
But he's like, hey everyone, I'm Gary Green, and he's like, hey, he does something like because Mona says something like, wait, is Gary cool now? And the guy behind her's like, that's not possible. And then he says so like, you Foxy, and he talks to one of the women in the room, and she kind of swoons. And Mona's like, did she swoon? And my favorite, because it's very invasive of the body snatchers. Is the idea is that everyone's going for their review, their employment review or whatever.
And she's like, is Gary qualified to be giving these?
And she's working with Nora for a little bit. Although Nora quickly becomes, but when she at one point she's like looking at the computer, and one of the guys who's like brainwashed comes up and like starts talking to her. She then does the classic thing where she pretends that she's had a review already, and she's just kind of like really awkwardly
goes all blank and goes,
like, Gary Green's all the man we need, and it just her delivery of that cracked me up.
What I love is every time they say that, the group then responds. So everyone else then goes, Gary Green is all the man we need.
And then of course the reveal here, because she actually breaks the other two out of it by just kind of hitting them together, because she eventually realizes that Wolfie can withstand this and deal with things. So she goes in for a review. Wolfie's going to pop out at some point, but we find out that it's the nipple. The nipple that he got from Neron has an eye in it, and we get this insane visual. This was Doom Patrol levels of weird.
This was Doom Patrol levels of weird. I loved this.
There's an eye inside his nipple, and that hypnotizes people because it
hypnotizes.
Hypnotizes, yeah. Because he does this great thing where he's like, "Look into the nipple," and he pulls out his nipple.
This is so good.
And then Wolfie bites it off, and that solves the problem.
That was the end of that.
And then Gary's yelling, "It wasn't me, it was the nipple." And given that I want Goofy Gary to stick around, yes, I'm going to agree that it was the nipple and not Gary.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine, Gary. We'll forgive you.
But yeah,
you're too inept to have done this on purpose.
Although if everyone wants to treat him like shit for a while, I'm okay with that.
You mean more than usual?
More than usual, yes.
Yeah.
So this plot was cracking me up. It was great. The other one that I thought was great was on the ship itself, because they get to Ray Ron, I'm going to call him, and Constantine, who are in the Ice Age. They trick, because Mick actually gives the order to blast them, and it causes an avalanche that traps the ship, which was Neron's plan all along.
Yeah.
And they're stuck in the snow, and they're kind of surviving on low power to try and last as long as possible. And that's just
good thing Cold had all those Parkers around.
I know they're all wearing Captain Cold's Parkers, which is really funny. But so this is just a series of great character beats. This subplot, because it's like, first of all, we have like Mick and Sarah sort of like getting angry at each other. Oh, you went to that stupid conference. Well, you always run off with Ava. Charlie tried to patch things up by pretending to be Mick, was really funny. Like all this stuff is good. Nate and Zari, their chemistry's still great. They taking care of the egg. I'm not sitting on that thing. And then she's like, well, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but now that the power's off, I guess I'll best skin to skin contact.
Yeah. They're playing Ray's card game.
Yes, which every single one was a Star Wars reference, because of course it bloody was.
There was a good handful of Star Wars references.
Yeah, there was before and after this as well. There was "It's a Trap" right before the avalanche hit them.
Yeah,
and then at the end, "Never Tell Me the Odds," when they try to blast out the snow.
Yeah, and the actual the number that Gideon gives them, the odds of this is the same one.
Of course, you would recognize that number. I did not recognize that number because I'm a sane human being.
So am I.
Oh, it's the worst. There was a Star Wars reference in Doom Patrol as well, actually.
What was it in Doom
It was Cliff,
Patrol?
he was pretending to be arrested. He's like, oh!
Yeah, you're right.
Does the tree noise.
It's better than that, though.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I just did a noise.
Yours was more of a demented yawn.
I don't think I could do a chewy noise. I'm going to try.
No, I can't.
So, I can do a Yoda noise. That's my Yoda noise.
Oh, better than your Chewy, that's for sure.
Anyway, so yeah, that was fun. I guess it's kind of heartwarming because I actually was surprised that Charlie had the heartwarming response because the last one was like, oh, they'll stick together and work as a family, kind of thing. I thought that the reveal there was going to be it was Mick that gave that one in.
Yeah,
it was going to be like a sweet moment where Mick was handing in the genuine kind of like we can do this team, but it was Charlie. That's fine, okay, whatever.
Which plays given how she was trying to patch it up between between Sarah and Mick.
And also just like Charlie accusing Nate and Zara of having sex, and then there's just a moment of awkwardness, and then Nate just goes, "Yeah, we are."
Yeah,
and Zara's just like, "What?"
I'm really liking these two together a lot.
As am I. There's a moment right before when they're kissing where he's like, "Hey, there's other ways for us to make heat," and she's like, "Really, dude?" Yeah, all right. It's just there's like a moment. Like, that was a dumb joke, but you know what?
I'll go with it.
Yeah. So they're being kind of delightful. The plot that was probably the least exciting for me in this episode was easily Constantine with Rayron in the past, and it's like Constantine's like ancestor who looks like him.
It does the cheesy thing that they look exactly the same.
Yeah, and I just like there was a couple of sweet moments with the young demon that was nice. When Constantine was being sweet with him or her.
Her the Puka, I think it was called.
Puka, yeah. There's a couple of sweet moments with the Puka, and it ends. I mean, I like the ending because the ending's quite interesting, where he willingly jumps in a portal to hell to get Ray because he wants to save Ray. And I think what I would like about this is that they did actually have a couple of neat episodes throughout the season, looking back on it, where Ray and Constantine did have some like time together, where Constantine would constantly give Ray advice about "Don't be like me, you're a good guy," and
yeah.
They've done enough this season with them that I buy that Constantine does want to save him.
Yeah, and I actually agree that this is the weakest plot. The whole ancestor thing is a bit whatever, but the core stuff of the character beats with Constantine, I really like. Him, ultimately kind of go putting up the front of being a terrible bastard, but ultimately he's like, all right, fine, I'm gonna do the right dance.
I like him wanting to save Ray. I like the visual of hell, which is like a demonic city, but with the big like castle in the back. Like,
yeah,
castle
it looks good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's an interesting visual. I like that.
It looks like New York in the 70s in the movies.
But with this like fiery building in the background.
Yeah.
I also just speaking of effects, actually, I thought the ship in front of the mountain and all the snow looked surprisingly pretty good.
Yeah, it did.
For a network TV show, I thought that looked quite good. So, and then the other big reveal is that Tabitha. We don't know who Tabitha is.
Oh yeah, we do.
Turns out the fairy godmother, which again, back at the start of the season, then once in the middle. We've seen her twice properly, so it's just enough that this meant something. When Tabitha popped out, it was like, oh, it's her. So I think they did a good job this season of making Ray and Constantine have something of a bond. Not as strong as, of course, Ray and Nate. I mean, Nate's like, oh, that perfect.
That's an inseparable bond. Everyone knows that.
And I like that Zari goes to comfort Nate, actually. That's actually kind of what leads to the sex. Yeah. She goes to comfort Nate.
So we're definitely getting a dragon in the season final, right?
Oh, yeah, they're nursing this dragon, baby.
And
yeah.
This dragon's just going to be a giant Bebo, right?
A Bebo?
A Bebo dragon.
Yeah, it's going to be blue?
Why not?
How do we justify this, though? Hold on a second.
Do we have to?
I wouldn't be mad about it. I'm not sure I see the logic as to getting there, though.
I don't think it actually is. I just want it to be.
No, I think we just get a dragon. Which neatly ties into Ray's theme park ideas. Like
Nate's,
yeah. Here's the thing: For as goofy as this show is, I actually think it's tying together a lot of things over that they've sprinkled throughout the season really well.
Down to the nipple.
Down to the nipple, which came into play in a big way in this episode.
Like that was like the first episode. It was a joke for like 3 or 4 episodes of Gary's lost his nipple, and then it became a Neron tempted him back with the nipple, and again, I still thought it was a bit of a joke, but then here it is. Oh no, the nipple is going all body snatchers with them.
It's actually kind of pretty solid writing. I commend it. I commend the show. So great stuff. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's almost like the writers on this show can remember things that happened more than 3 episodes ago.
Hey, come on! You were complaining that they brought up Alex's wanting to have a kid after a year. They remember things.
Yes, but they forgot it for a year before that.
So no, I really liked this episode. I think some of the Constantine stuff was a bit dull in the middle, but other than that, like I really liked.
I never felt like we were spending too much time with him though. At any one chunk.
Oh sure. There was a line from Mick that really made me laugh, and I forget what it is now. It was early Sean when maybe the ship was going down or whatever. He yelled something out before a lever was pulled, and I can't remember what it was now, and it's going to bug me.
I don't remember, sorry. Do you know what one of my favourite moments of this episode was? Is when Nate has named the dragon, and Zara's like, sorry, what did you just say that was called? and she's kind of like teasing him a little bit, because it's like, that's the name of the dragon from his drawing. But then it's like, oh no, we'll go with it. And it's this really nice moment, but it's funny, and he's named the dragon baby.
They're dragon baby. They're the parents.
Baby, yeah. They are.
Yes.
They're taking this really seriously.
Yes. So no, Legends was great. Shocker. But no, actually, I want to commend it because I feel like as much as I've loved Legends since season 2, I don't necessarily think I've ever really cared about the overall plot that much. And while I don't think Neron himself is that interesting or exciting, I think this season's maybe doing the best job out of the 3 that I've liked of tying everything together at the end. And don't get me wrong, we loved the finale last year because of the Bebo demon fight, right? But
Malice
was whatever, and also I thought that the finale last year was probably one of the weaker episodes until about the halfway point. I thought the first half of the finale last year felt a bit weaker.
It was just like, we should probably tie all this shit together now in the last episode.
And in the last half hour of that finale, the last 20 minutes was great, right? And it gives
some of the best TV all year.
This saves the rest of the episode easily. This I feel like we're building very nicely to something. This really bringing everything.
I think this is comfortably the best season of the show.
Yeah, I would say that. And just on our point, I really like Nora dealing with her paperwork and try to be good. And like every time I try to put my forms in, it thinks I'm like a 15 in a mental asylum, because she technically is.
yeah.
So that was good. No, the Legends was great.
So just to be clear,
yes?
We're gonna have the season final of Legends on the same week as the last episode of Doom Patrol.
Are we?
There's 2 more of each, isn't there?
No, there's 15 of Doom Patrol. There's 3 more Doom Patrol.
Is there 3 more Doom Patrols? Oh, that's fine. I really didn't want to have to duke them out.
No. 3 more Doom Patrol, 2 more Legends, 2 more Supergirl, 1 more the other 2. So which means Gotham's coming back soon, folks. Look forward to Gotham.
Just what everyone wants.
Do you know what? Seeing a photo of their Batman for their finale, which jumps in the future, I can't wait to get through the rest of that show. I haven't actually
seen it. Hang on.
I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of that show now.
I was reading an interview with Matt Bomer earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he's the voice of Larry on
and often plays him whenever we see him as a human.
Yeah, in human form. And he was talking about what drew him to this role. Because it's like comic book scripts, they're a dime a dozen. You get handed them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But this was like, no, this was wacky. This was different, and you can love it or hate it, but it's its own beast. He goes, if this had just been another Gotham-y style show, I'd have passed. That was the phrase he used, Gotham-y style. I went, oh, that's a harsh dig.
He ain't wrong though.
He's not.
Oh dear. So
wait, is that Batman?
we can move on to the final show of the week.
I'm just seeing the Batman.
We're moving on. We're moving on. Shut up. We're moving on to The Flash, Season 5, Episode 21, The Girl with the Red Lightning. Is that maybe a reference to The Girl with All the Gifts, that movie that came out?
Maybe.
Or is that a reference to the
girl with the dragon tattoo?
Yeah, girl with the dragon tattoo, probably more likely. Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
I feel like there's a lot of good titles, like Supergirl's one, really liked. Legends was good, could have been better. This one, I feel like I think we're getting what they're going for, but it's not really landing, is it?
Nah. So this episode of Flash, we have. Well, I want to talk about the ending first of all, because so basically Ralph early on in the episode comes in with a conundrum. He's like, "Hey guys, something's not adding up about all this time travel," and he gets out the board and he's like, "But wait a minute, if this cicada has this dagger here and then this cicada has that dagger there, then how could that how could this all line up? There's a detail here that's not adding up."
It's like, now I've experienced time travel, I understand it.
And everyone's just kind of shooting him down, saying, "No, we've got bigger problems to deal with."
It's like, look, Thorne's got a plan.
And at the end of the episode, and we see Thorne in the future. He's like, time's out. It's time for his execution, and they're getting him out of the cell. We get to in the main story. The whole plan in the episode is they want to try and destroy the dagger, and they're got this mirror gun to do it. They need to lure Shikada somewhere, and they're doing this thing where because she's going to set off this bomb that will kill all the metas. I say bomb. It's not a literal bomb in a sense, but like
it's a meta bomb. That'll do.
Yeah. And she also, we got CCPD taking all the metas to offer them the cure. Some of whom take them, some of whom don't. There's a really funny moment actually with Cecile where she's like, "I just sensed a lot of panic. I think we're about to be swamped." And then the doors open and it's just...
both lifts and they're just running out. Yeah.
Elevators, that is, for people who don't understand the word lifts.
For uncultured swine.
So... Yeah, so that's all boils down, and Ralph's there in costume, Killer Frost is there, Cisco's there, all hands on deck. Everyone's in this episode.
Early on this episode, you get a shot of everyone. I'm like, oh, no one's missing.
So basically, Ralph has that detective moment where he starts having all these quick flashes of everything piecing together, and basically we get this shot of in the future as he's about to be executed. We see that the thing that's kept Thawne depowered is that they've got Cicada's dagger strapped to his chest. And then it cuts back to present day. So the idea being that this entire season, the whole plot of this season, is that Thawne has been manipulating Nora so that eventually they will destroy the dagger, meaning that they'll never exist in his timeline and they can't hold him in the prison and he will not be depowered. So we end the episode with Ralph going, "No, don't destroy it." And he's running in slow motion.
Don't shoot it with the mirror gun.
And it's and it has this really abrupt ending where it cuts in a cliffhanger, and it's like it's really sudden. At least compared to Arrow, though, at least this one I get why they wanted a sudden jolt. It's like no,
yeah, but it still felt jarring.
Yeah, it still felt jarring, but so that's the that was the end of the episode, and I just started laughing that this entire season it was about Thawne escaping. Cicada was just a means to an end in terms of the plot.
Yeah, it's. I mean, Thawne didn't show up till halfway, and then he had a handful of episodes in a cell and didn't really do anything. But sure, it was all about Thawne the whole time.
And don't get me wrong, I was hoping it would switch to Thawne, but I was hoping it would do it much earlier and not as I don't know, wacky. And here's the thing: if this had been well written, this twist might have been interesting.
I think I still might have had problems with it just feeling convoluted.
Well, here's the thing. Let's say Ralph hadn't just been thinking about this episode. What if it was kind of a thing that was bugging him for a while, and he was trying to prove that something wasn't adding up with where this dagger was at certain points in the timeline? Where is it?
No, I mean, I think it would always have felt convoluted as Thawne's plan. I'm going to send Nora back and make sure the dagger never exists.
It's convoluted because that wasn't our first goal. If he sent her back and our entire thing from the get-go was okay, we need to destroy this dagger, that was the direct thing. But it wasn't that. It was a whole season of do this and do that and do this and do that, and then maybe this will lead to this, and there was so many steps to get there. It was such a convoluted villain plan that that ruins it. But I think the twist on its own actually could be effective if the plot leading up to it wasn't as messy and convoluted.
Sure. It's hard to say.
I don't know, like I could see the potential, but it made me laugh. Like I was laughing hysterically when they revealed this.
Yeah, not for the right reasons, but
I mean, if I'm going to give the episode some positives, there's a
there
couple
was
of
some genuinely funny things.
yeah, there was a couple of Ralph lines that were really funny. There was a couple of it was a great Cisco comedy moment actually, when they bring up that in the future this guy's got a Nobel Prize and he's like, oh, this Irvin's got a Nobel Prize, eh? And he just starts ranting about it. I was like, oh, it's not like his roommate in college did all of his work and helped him, not like, Cisco Ramon helped him in any way. And the bit that was, and it's a really well acted bit because it's really funny kind of the whole time. It feels like it's amusing the entire time, if not outright funny. And at the end of the speech, whereas, like, Cisco says something like, but I don't care. I don't care what he's doing. He's like, and then Barry or someone says, oh, can we find him? Yeah, found him. Like instantly, and it was a genuinely funny punchline to the whole scene.
It was, and the whole I think he knows him. I don't remember who said it, but after Cisco's speech, before we get to can we find him, it was just someone just goes, I think Cisco knows him.
Yeah. So that was fine.
Sherlock had a couple of funny bits as well.
Oh, Sherlock, yeah. It was when he's talking to what's the Sherlock Holmes love interest?
It's not Irene, and it's Renee, isn't it?
Adler, yeah, Adler. He's talking to Adler, and she asks about the cure. Is it permanent? And he says, not as permanent as Cicada killing you.
Yeah, and him texting using the emojis.
Yes. I text you all these emojis, and you don't respond. What am I to think? I was in a library, Sherlock.
Yeah. Also, she's an adult.
Yeah, she's an adult. Yeah, but the Abacus
that really applies anymore, but it should do.
And he protects her by sending her to another Earth. And he says he's got friends waiting for her. And I'm imagining his ex-wife, even though I don't know why they would do this for him, but I'm imagining his ex-wives, who are all Adlers, showing up and like protecting her.
Is there a council of Adlers?
Council of Adlers, there should be.
Oh, that'd be funny. Sherlock's grown on me.
Mm.
He still can be retained at points, but overall, he's grown on me.
Yeah, and he's proper heroic now because he doesn't go with her. He's like, no, I must stay and help my family, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
Is he dying, do you reckon? Or maybe he actually they win and he goes off to spend time with Adler.
Yeah, I could see that. After what gives another Wells, because we did have the same one back for 2 seasons, so
we did, but I feel like this has presented an easy out. Sure. Well, I mean, you could bring Adler back to this Earth when it's safe and have him stick around that way.
Yeah, you could. Because I have to imagine, like, are they run out of ideas for Wells?
I mean, the fact that we're on Sherlock Wells tells me yes. Yes, they are, a long time ago.
Which probably means that if we do get a new Wells, it'll be another cartoony thing. It'll be like, I don't know.
It'll be another ridiculous one like the Council.
Yeah, it'll be...
Can we have Mad Max Wells?
It'll be Abraham Wells Lincoln. Like,
no, I want Fury Wells, and I will settle for nothing.
It's not going to be one of the ones from the Council. It'll be a new one.
Yeah, no, but I want one.
I guarantee you it'll be a new one. It won't be one from the Council.
I know.
Because they're all one-off jokes. You know that they were designed to just be a punchline for a couple of scenes, and that was it.
They were.
So that's all you're getting. Other than that, one thing that bugged me in this episode is that Singh is off to City Hall, and for some reason that's going to be a long enough trip that he leaves Joe in charge. He's like, Joe, you're in charge while I'm gone. So Joe's essentially the acting captain, and for some reason he immediately starts like being really indecisive and struggling when anyone asks him anything or what to do, where to set up roadblocks, where to set up the patrols and things like that. He just panics, and he's never been unsure of what he does in his police work ever in the entire show. And it all kind of boils down just so that he can make a speech later on about being unsure and like fighting through it. And I'm like, this feels so contrived because you've never actually felt this way until this episode.
Yeah. There's a bit where obviously we get the hallway speech.
Yeah.
Because it is in a hallway, not the usual hallway, but it is a hallway. Where Cecile comes like, hey, what the hell's going on? You're better than this.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I always know there's a captain that's got my back, right? There's someone higher up. I'm like, literally every time anyone comes to you, Barry, Iris, It's like there's no one above you with that, and you've never been indecisive.
It feels so forced, and I would buy it maybe if there was like a trauma, maybe he had PTSD or something like that, and they sold it as like he's shaky because of something bad that happened.
Yeah, no, but this is just
it's not
ineptitude. That's so un-Joe-like.
It's for no reason at all to set up the fact that he can give this speech later on in the episode, and it's just.
It's not even for that. It's because it's got to have some drama. That's it.
I want to point out that Shikeda, who does talk to her, ghost version of Cicada, who, by the way, there's a scene in this episode where she's working on like her device in her hideout, and Ghost Cicada is like walking around behind her, and he's just monologuing, and he's essentially just saying the same sort of things over and over again. It was like, we have to kill all the metas. We have to do everything.
Every time he opens his mouth, I just laugh.
As soon as he started talking, it was a whole extended sequence of his terrible voice. And then, like, we actually get this reveal that, when she was in the future, because as Ralph was theorizing, she couldn't have a dagger in the future. And she's like, yeah, I didn't have a dagger. I was killing people without a dagger. And then she bursts out her energy beams. She's got these energy beams, right? And we know she's a meta. Here's the thing. The effects on this, not so much the effect of the beam itself, the effect on the beam's fine.
It's the movement, the traversal.
Yeah, it's the way she sort of jumps up. In fact, what really bugs me about this is that at one point she sort of blasts herself off the ground, kind of like a rocket. And the problem with this, in terms of critiquing it, or accepting this level of effects here and how stupid she looks, is that I've seen this exact movement done much better on a network TV show. Because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Quake, who has Quake powers, it's not a beam, but it's the same idea where she blasts herself off the ground. I've seen it done, and it looks pretty good in that show, and it's also a network TV show.
And all this did is remind me that, oh shit, S.H.I.E.L.D.'s back.
I know S.H.I.E.L.D.'s back, yeah.
And I get to watch that instead of Flash.
There was also one point where she actually kind of did a Spider-Man thing where she sort of used her beam to like pull her up, and it looked really bad.
Terrible, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I don't get her plan is to release a thing that'll kill all the metas.
Mm-hmm.
But she's there and she's a meta.
Maybe that's okay. Maybe she's willing to commit suicide when she's doing it.
Well, maybe, but I feel like she should have had Ghost Cicada question her on this.
But it's in her head.
No, that's fine. But it still feels like I need the character beat of her acknowledging that she's willing to accept that. And yes, Ghost Cicada's in her head, but it's a subconscious thing, right? And there's that question. You can have the subconscious questioning. Hey, are we sure about this? And her reaffirming that yes, she's willing to do that.
All right, I can see what you're saying. It's at the bottom of my problems, but
yeah, I mean, sure, there are far bigger problems with this episode. And
she's pulling out her boomerang blades, and Caitlin, as Killer Frost, pulls out two icicles, and then it gets to Ralph, and he does a T-1000 thing where he makes like a blade with these, and that made me laugh. Honestly, Ralph, Sherlock, and Cisco in this episode were mostly pretty enjoyable.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Did Barry do anything?
He got knocked out during this fight, and the other three were fighting her whilst he was essentially knocked out. He basically swooped in and saved Joe like a couple of times and like got him out of harm's way.
I'm just thinking, but again, we watched this right before Arrow, so I very drunk by the end of this, of hazy memories. I remember very little of any Barry all episode.
Well, no, the main Barry stuff with Iris and Nora was that Nora wanted to tap into the reverse or the negative speed force to connect to Cicada because she was in her head, they're still kind of linked, and she wanted to do that. But Barry's like, "Oh, it's too dangerous. We can't let you do that." And then they basically said, "No, you're an adult. You want to be a hero, and we should stop stopping you being a hero, so you can do it." And they make her stay behind afterwards because she gets a nosebleed and she's kind of out of it, so she stays back and quarterbacks. But that's basically their whole thing. Those scenes are pretty tedious.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I don't remember them.
Once she's like quarterback and it's fine, but the scenes of like her talking to the parents and like them, no, you can't do this. No, you can. Like those were just tedious. There was nothing in there that was worth valuable. So there you go. That was Flash. Which means we're on to the part of the show where we can pick our favourite episode of the week. So it's between two, as it has been for a while. It's between Doom Patrol and Legends of Tomorrow, and I think both had really good episodes this week.
I do as well. But at the same time, I think there is an easy choice. Even though I love both of these episodes, I think Doom Patrol is the obvious choice. because the Constantine section does drag down Legends a bit. It's objectively the point where I go, well, that's a bit of a weaker section. Whereas Doom Patrol does not have a weaker section.
Okay, that's one way to look at it. That's a very cold and hard logic way of looking at it, and just looking at the math.
Yeah, even though I maybe love some of the moments in the other plots on Legends.
No, here's the thing. I actually am going to pick Doom Patrol as well, but the reason why I'm picking Doom Patrol is I think the heart in Doom Patrol and the emotion in Doom Patrol is just that much better than even Legends can pull off. Even though I think Legends had one of its best episodes of the season, despite the fact that some of the Constantine scenes were a little bit, dull. I think Legends was fantastic this week, but I think Doom Patrol also had one of its better episodes, and because of that, it
Doom
wins.
Patrol had such a stark ending. I won't say it here now, just in case anyone
Let's skip past it. Yeah.
The ending, where they're all just standing there watching, and it's just that's what we end on. That's such a powerful moment.
But yeah, so there you go. That is our pick of the week. So. What is left to do? I can tell you that we have other shows that may be of interest to you. We have Comics from the Multiverse, which is a DC Comics podcast where we talk about the comic books every week, both myself and Connor along with Matt. We also have Elsewhere in the Multiverse, which is other comic books which are not DC. We talk about some Marvel, we talk about some Image, all that kind of thing. As far as comic book TV shows are related, we should mention that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is back, and it's coming back this week. We reviewed that as a standalone review. You can find that on the YouTube channel, of course, but you can also find it on the almost cancelled review feed, the podcast. If you go to the Patreon, I'll mention the Patreon properly in a minute, but the top post on the Patreon has all the audio feed links. So you can check out that. I also think it's worth mentioning something that you might have suspected could be on this show, which is Watchmen, coming later this year. Had a trailer this week. It will not be on this show. It will be getting reviewed as a standalone thing. The reason why it's not on this show, though, is because it's a prestige HBO show and there will be people flocking to it. So it's not just getting lumped in with the DC shows.
What we're saying is it's better than this.
That's not what I was saying, though.
Kind of is.
No, it's not. I'm saying more people will be interested. That doesn't necessarily mean better.
No. When you said, "Oh, it's a prestige HBO show," it really felt like, yeah, it's too good for this show. That's what came across there.
Well, no, if HBO were doing Swamp Thing, we'd be doing Swamp Thing on this show. But Watchmen's separate enough, and it's such a separate entity that.
Sure.
Yeah, you're just arguing with me just for arguing because you're a dick.
Yeah, that's true.
So that is coming up later this year, but I had a trailer this week, so it's probably worth mentioning that. Yeah. So there you go. That is all the things I wanted to plug. Although, of course, you can support us by liking, subscribing, letting us know what you thought of the show in the comments. If you're on the iTunes feed or whatever, rate us on there, give us a review. It helps out a lot if you give us a good rating on there. Get us on patreon.com/MailFuzzTV if you want to support us financially for as little as $1 per month. You get some bonuses, you get some extras. You can also, of course, get us on Twitter @mail_fuzz for channel updates for the YouTube channel, or if you want specific comic book stuff, at DC Comics Podcast. So that is us. So thank you for watching or listening. Once again, we always appreciate it. Keep watching superhero TV shows. And remember that sometimes we screw things up for the better. And Gary Green is all the man we need.